Welcome to Cinema Convos. This is the show where we bring guests with different tastes in film. I'm your host, Yash, and I'm here with my producer, Zach, and our special guest, Taylor.
Hello.
And today we are discussing the film The Hangover from 2009, directed by Todd Phillips and starring Bradley Cooper, Ed Helms, Zach Galifianakis, and Ken Jeong. And before we get started today, just wanted to issue a quick spoiler warning. If you haven't seen this movie, be sure to check it out before listening to this episode. And with that, I'll get started with some of our preliminary questions. And the first question I have for everyone today is, starting with Taylor, what's your first memory or best memory with this movie?
Hey, Yash, it's great being on the podcast. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course.
To answer your question, honestly, I saw this movie, I don't know, back when it came out in the theaters with my dad. And honestly, my dad has a very unique, laugh where he, is really, really loud. And he's not a big movie guy, but my favorite memory, because he loves this movie, my favorite memory is him, being so loud in the movie theaters because he thought it was so funny. Because, this movie, you've seen it. It's it's you're nonstop laughing the whole time in it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you all agree?
Yeah, sure. What about you, Zach?
I didn't see it when it was in the theater, but I feel like I watched it maybe a couple years after. I think I watched it on HBO or something. Yeah, I watched it with my dad as well. And yeah, it's has a good memory. And yeah, so I just remember it just being just laughs all the way through. I can't remember. It doesn't really have a lot of slow moments. It just kind of laughs all the way through. And that's something that I do appreciate about the movie.
If you haven't seen this movie too, it's on, I think it's on once a week on different various channels. I think it was on Comedy Central this weekend. It was kind of funny
absolutely.
Because we were doing this podcast and I thought it was funny that it was on TV.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this is a movie that I definitely was not allowed to watch when it came out. So I saw it when I turned 17. I watched a bunch of R-rated movies, including a bunch of comedies, and this is one of the ones I was I have to watch it because I've heard so much about it.
That's funny.
I actually watched all three of them because they were all out at that point.
Yeah, back to back.
And yeah, this one just stands out because it's just so funny.
This one's way better than the other ones. Wouldn't you agree?
100%.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You can just watch this one, and
this is the only one of the three that you absolutely have to watch.
For sure. But yeah, it's just, I just remember it, over the years, it's become a movie that it's one of my favorite comedies. When I first watched it, I was watching so many comedies, it was just a lot to process. But this movie is it's just funny. It's just situation these characters are in it's just so ridiculous. And it's just seeing every crazy scenario, scene after scene, it's just so much fun to watch. And, after actually going to Vegas, it just takes me back to Vegas when I watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. For sure. If you've been to Vegas, you have to watch the Hangover because this is a funny take on your, everyone's first trip to Vegas.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
4 of us wolves running around the desert together in Las Vegas, looking for strippers and cocaine.
We've talked about how this movie is, it's hilarious. It's very funny, but I was just curious if, what were some of your guys' favorite aspects of the movie?
My favorite aspect of it is this, how they were able to switch it up and be constantly funny the whole time. Because, some movies, they they beat the dead horse over and over again with the same jokes. But this one just had so many different turns, so unexpected. Yeah. It's just constantly funny the whole time.
It feels like there's something new happening every few minutes.
Exactly. Stuff just crazy stuff you would never even think, And I like the aspect, I love gambling. So I love the aspect of the gambling was thrown in there, obviously, because this is Vegas. But it was funny, how Alan was reading the book, how to count cards on the way up there. And then he ended up using it to save them, get the money to, find Doug.
Who said anything about gambling? It's not gambling when you know you're going to win. Counting cards is a foolproof system.
It's also illegal.
It's not illegal. It's frowned upon, like masturbating on an airplane.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal, too.
Yeah, maybe after 9/11, where everybody gets so sensitive.
I'm going to take a second to bounce off that and just say Alan is probably one of my favorite movie characters of all time.
Yes.
I used one of his quotes for an Instagram caption I made because I went to a Jonas Brothers concert. He's like, there's no good for me. Jonas Brothers are in town. But like in 2009, that joke is completely different, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. No,
Yeah.
I think another most famous character though is, I mean, Alan's obviously, world class famous, but Mr. Chow too.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Chow, for sure.
I don't know. Everyone quotes that, the sucking these shiny nuts quote. Everyone said that before.
What about you, Zach? What are some of your favorite aspects of the movie?
Yeah, one of my favorite aspects of this movie is that I don't think it really ever slows down, really. It's consistently funny throughout, and it just keeps a steady pace. And yeah, it really has no lulls either, no slow parts. A lot of movies kind of fail at that, and when you're playing it for laughs over and over again, and you're not being creative, it gets kind of old. Like you're sort of like kind of bored with it. I never feel that in The Hangover. I really think it does what it does so well.
To add on to that too, Hangover is one of those movies where you can watch it over and over again; it'll still be funny too.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely,
There's those,
yeah.
those comedies that like,
it's honestly gotten
you see it
funnier.
once or twice, and after that, it's not that funny. But
Yeah.
Hangover, you can watch it, every couple months, and it'll still be funny as it was the first time.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
the movie moves at a really good pace for comedy, and as Zach said, it has a good central story, and it establishes the relationship of these characters very quickly and very effectively. You kind of know that Alan's the oddball that they have to invite, and like the three of them are close, and I don't know, just like their dynamic is established very quickly, but it's so believable. And right at the beginning of the movie, they show you their friend went missing. Like they tell you that up front, and you're just immediately intrigued, like, how did this happen? And now
Yes.
I'm invested.
Yeah, it gets you hooked in like right away.
Because sometimes movies show you like the end before the movie starts. It's not effective, but for this movie, it works.
Tracy, it's Phil.
Phil, where the hell are you guys? I'm freaking out.
Yeah, listen. We fucked up.
What are you talking about?
The bachelor party, the whole night. We lost Doug. We can't find Doug.
What are you saying, Phil? We're getting married in 5 hours.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Like, it doesn't show you, like, the end of the film, right, at the beginning, but it does show you a part into the story far enough along at the very beginning of the film where you find out immediately at the start of the film what the main conflict is and what the main idea of the story is. So you're not, throughout the movie, you're not constantly like wondering what it's going to be. So that's less time that they have to waste explaining that, and they have more time to be consistently funny because they explain the main central conflict right off the bat. And I think that's a tool that this film utilizes really well.
That's a good point. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for a movie that's so wild and crazy, it actually features almost like no scenes of actual partying, which is just insane to think about.
You're right.
That's
a good point.
That is really interesting.
Like,
Yeah.
The whole night is never shown to us, and it's just revealed to us via photos at the end. And I think that's like really clever.
The photos at the end, though.
I honestly don't think it would have been as funny if they did it, if they showed us the actual night. Because, like our whole time we're just trying to picture what they did the whole night.
Whereas
like, what the hell did they do,
Completely in the dark. And
exactly.
You're finding out as the movie goes on just how crazy the things they did. It's like they stole a cop car, they stole a tiger, they wound up with a baby. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So many things.
Crazy.
So many things.
I mean, they hung out with Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson punched him.
Hung out with Mike
face,
Tyson. Average not in
Stole his
Vegas. I
tiger.
mean, I don't know what's crazy about that.
Stole a
Average
tiger too,
not in Vegas, but
for me to like a movie, it takes a lot, and I really like The Hangover. That's a special aspect of it too.
yeah.
So looking at just the cast list of this movie, there's quite a few people who are a lot more famous now, actually. So I was
for sure.
I was just wondering what is your opinion on some of the are there any actors in this movie that you tend to follow their work or are a fan of?
Definitely, Zach Galifianakis, because like this was like his coming out role, wasn't it?
It absolutely was. It absolutely was.
I would have to, I can't think of any of his works off the top of my head right now, but every movie he does is pretty funny. And then also, Mr. Chow, what's the name of the actor again?
Ken Jeong.
Ken Jeong. He's a funny comedian. I watch his stand up now. I follow his stand up.
Yeah, I watched.
He has a couple Netflix specials.
Yeah.
So he's really, I think he's really, because he was actually a doctor before The Hangover, right?
Yeah, he was a medical
and then,
doctor.
You know, he got the role in The Hangover and then kind of took off from there. So that's really cool.
See, he fine. Now, give me money. Or I shoot him, and I shoot all you motherfuckers. And then we take it. Your choice, bitches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a, you know, you don't really hear, that's a cool story to have.
I think Ken Jeong said in one of his newer stand-up specials that The Hangover quite literally changed his life.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that's true.
I forgot that. Yeah, I know he said the story. I forgot what the backstory was, how he got the role, but you know, completely.
Yeah, the specifics, but I remember it was an interesting one. It's definitely.
I can't believe it changed his whole career path.
I love that though.
Can you imagine going to medical school for 7 years, undergrad, 4 years? You know.
Well, at least he can fall back on that if he needs to.
Like,
exactly.
You become a doctor, and then like, okay, well, I'm not gonna be a doctor now. I'm gonna be in The Hangover, and then do acting and comedy.
Yeah, he's really funny.
Yeah, it's funny because Mr. Chow's character is really funny in this movie, and I think he's funny whenever he's on screen.
Oh, for sure.
I remember with the third film, there was a big focus on Mr. Chow. And a lot of critics.
He was like the main focus of like the third one.
And like I remember a lot of critics were criticizing the movie because, they think too much Mr. Chow is kind of annoying, which I don't personally agree with. I think he's funny, and I think the third movie is actually fairly underrated because at least it does something different. The second movie is just copy and paste and put it in Thailand.
Chow, stop!
You motherfuckers!
Leslie, get down from there! Please, you're gonna hurt yourself!
Nothing hurts Chow. I am invisible!
It's invincible, and you're not. You're just out of your fucking mind. Now, get down from there before you die.
Die? How do you kill what's already dead?
Don't you think, would you agree that Mr. Chow is a better, side character than anything? I feel like he kills that role where it's
for sure.
Not the main actor in any of his stuff. He's more of like that add-on to comic relief guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like in all of his stuff, he's the same way. I know he has a series on TV too now, doesn't he? Like Doctor something. I don't know.
Yeah, Doctor
on TV.
Dr. Ken on ABC's.
Yeah, Dr. Ken on ABC. Yeah.
Going back to the question I asked, I guess for me, I've become a big fan of Bradley Cooper over the years.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
He's really funny in this movie, but he's shown he can do dramatic roles as well in the last maybe 6 or 7 years.
Is it odd? He has really big range. He can play a variety of roles.
True.
Yeah, and he's starting to after A Star Is Born a few years ago, he's showing that he has a knack for directing as well. So we'll see where his career goes from here.
Yeah.
I like him a lot, and I actually watched The Hangover before I watched The Office, but then I watched The Office. I'm like Ed Helms. I'm like, it's Stu.
Andy Bernard.
Yeah, I think he's pretty funny.
Did The Office come out before Hangover?
Yes.
Yeah, I did. I haven't watched it yet.
It started in 05. Well,
so Andy's role, he came on later. Was he already in The Office at that point or no? Or
he was already on because I think the merger in The Office, happened season 2 or 3. So that is where Andy's character came from. So I think 07, 08 sounds about right. And this movie came out in 09. So I think he would have been, people who watched The Office, they knew who he was, but obviously he wasn't a household name. They probably knew his face from The Office, but that really was his stardom. Talking about the stars of this movie. Yeah. So, for those 4 main guys, this was, their big break. The 3 guys and, Ken Jeong. Bradley Cooper, I'm sure he had been in some stuff.
He was still relatively new, though, at the time.
He was still relatively new. I remember I saw him in The Hangover, but I think the first role that I really – but the first role that I really remember him as being a big, dramatic actor
I love Wedding Crashers, by the way.
Yeah,
that was funny. I think that's a good one too. That was almost the one I picked too.
Yeah,
one of my favorite movies. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the first act.
I didn't even realize he was in it too.
Small part.
Oh, he was in it.
Yeah.
First movie that really put Bradley Cooper on the map was Limitless. Yeah, well, I think that movie really showed that I think The Hangover showed he was capable. Limitless showed that he could be a star in a movie, and I don't think that would have happened without The Hangover. I can't remember which one came first.
I think The Hangover was first.
You don't like me, and I don't blame you. You see a self-defeating, energy-sucking piece of shit who's sponging off your husband. You're wishing I'd blow my brains out, but my existence shouldn't make you this upset. What is it?
That's none of your business.
Something wrong in law school?
How do you know I'm in law school?
People who aren't usually don't carry around dry, academically constipated books about a dead Supreme Court justice.
You're a creep, aren't you? You've been following me.
No, I just noticed the book.
You just saw the corner of it. How did you know that?
Somehow my unconscious had served that up. A memory I'd never even recorded. Or was it there the whole time, and all I needed was the access?
Talking about Zach Galifianakis, yeah, he was known to a certain amount of, like, through his stand-up and stuff. He was still kind of underground, but then The Hangover happened and was hit big, and then he was just in a bunch of other comedies. He really almost exclusively did comedies. He did some dramatic roles here and there.
Mhm.
Yeah, The Hangover, likewise, with everybody else in this movie was the point where they kind of took off into bigger and better things. However, one person who I feel bad for here is like the actor who played Doug. He didn't do hardly anything after this.
That's what I say. Like the movie was centered around him, but
Yeah,
he was probably only in it for maybe 10 minutes. You know,
I know.
Like,
It's about him.
It's literally about
It's a
him.
movie
But
about
he's
him.
never really in the movie.
Barely in it. He's barely in it. I know the actor.
I don't know anything he's in. I don't know anything he's in.
He was in
anymore.
the National Treasure movies, at
Oh,
least
okay.
the second one.
He's in
Really?
both.
That's literally all I know. It's literally all I know.
I mean,
I don't know anything
like,
about
he's
him.
in the very beginning of the movie, and the next time you see him is like the very end when he's all sunburned up on the roof.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
mean,
he has very little dialogue, very little scenes.
Real quick about the sequels. It's one thing I think they could have done is involve Doug's character a bit more, and he's just kind of
Agreed.
always on in every movie. And
Yeah,
it doesn't really make sense.
In the second one, who do they lose? They lose Doug again or no?
They lose.
It was
the girl's brother. Right?
Oh yeah, her brother. Yeah, I remember that.
But like,
True.
there's
Like,
always,
why is he not with them? But like, why is Doug not going with him? It's like,
Yeah, it's like they didn't have enough money to pay Doug, for the second and third movie.
like, he's not worth that much. He's not worth that
know.
much. They could have easily accommodated.
Yeah, I know.
It could have been interesting. I don't know if they had incorporated his character a bit more later on.
I agree.
Yeah.
No,
Maybe he's a
but
bad
yeah,
actor.
Like, he might be. I mean, that might be. He just doesn't have the same acting.
Maybe he had to
same
become
caliber of actor.
like start a new day job or something. Maybe the acting wasn't paying the bills. Because there was like a good
Maybe.
couple year gap between the movies.
Yeah, maybe.
So yeah, obviously this movie has a ton of hilarious moments, but I was just curious, what is your favorite scene in the movie, and why is it your favorite, or why does it stand out?
I think I'm gonna go with the most famous scene. I think it's the one where they finally get all the money after staying up all night and gambling all night, and they show up and they got it's a black Doug. It's the wrong Doug. and then Mr.
I'll be
Chow
your Doug.
jumps out of the car and says his famous line, "Suck on these Chinese nuts."
Yeah, that's a funny part.
What, is this some kind of joke? Who the hell is this? That is not Doug.
What are you talking about, Willis? That him.
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Chow. That's not our friend. It's...
The Doug we're looking for is a white.
Yeah, that's a good part.
What about you, Zach?
I think probably my favorite scene in the movie is when they are taken to the police station after they are arrested, and then they all get tased in front of that group of kids. I mean, yeah, like there's not a lot of jokes being told, but I just think that's a really good exercise in physical comedy, especially Alan when he's being tased. I think it's super funny, like how he doesn't go down right away, and I just think that's hilarious. And one other part of that scene I love is that like the cop who's like tasing them, Rob Riggle, who I think is hilarious. I think he's super funny. I just love everything he's in, and I just think he's super hilarious. So even though he's in this, he's only in this scene and really in it for a small part. I think he just makes this scene all that funnier.
Do I have any volunteers? You want to come up here and do some shooting, huh? All right, how about you, young lady? Come on up here. All right, let's go, handsome. Come on. Not you, fat Jesus. Slide it on back. You, pretty boy. All right, now it's real simple. All you got to do is point, aim, and shoot. All right?
Okay. You don't really want to do this.
You can do this. Just focus.
Don't listen to this maniac. Let's think this thing through.
Finish him!
Right in the nuts. That was beautiful.
Another low-key, funny part of the whole movies are like is the constant like conflict between the guys and the girls that are going on. You know, they keep on getting phone calls from their wives, and they have to keep on saying like everything's okay. And then Stu's like girlfriend is like crazy and insane and thinks he's in wine country. I think that's funny that he had to lie to her because he couldn't
even
tell her
lie,
he was
so
going
he's
to
going to
Vegas. She was explaining to her that wine country's so great, it's so calm. We went to bed at 9:00 last night.
Yeah, for me,
the funny part.
For me, one of my favorite moments has always been like when Doug and what's Bradley Cooper's character's name, Phil, they actually go to win all the money in blackjack. And what's funny is recently I saw the movie Rain Man, and in that movie there's a very similar scene, but it involves Dustin Hoffman and Tom Cruise, and it just reminded me of like a comic version of that scene.
Oh, I think they're actually trying to reenact that exact scene. Yeah, because Alan early in the movie mentions Rain Man. He goes,
"Oh, really?"
Yeah, in the gas station part, he goes,
"That makes sense."
Be Rain Man.
It all came full circle for me not too long ago.
That's funny.
I love how he's like he's calculating all the formulas in his head just to count cards. It's so funny.
Yeah, and like you can see them as well. Like
it's hard to pick one scene because it's so.
Oh, I agree. It's just so funny the whole time.
Yeah, it's so hard to like, especially in a movie that has so many great scenes. It's very hard.
I think I did mess up early though. I combined two different scenes, but the part where Mr. Chow jumps out of the back of a car when they first get it is hilarious. But then when they realize they got the wrong Doug is like really funny.
I love Black Doug. He's barely in the movie. I love Black Doug.
It's just funny. He goes, and that's when they realize like what actually happened to him.
No, fuck that shit. Now you give us our 80 grand back and take him with you.
No, come on, man. I'll be your Doug.
We've kind of mentioned how this is definitely the best of the series because I think the sequels are definitely made because of how successful this movie was. But I was just curious, what are some of your thoughts on the sequels, and what makes this movie better than those, if that's your opinion?
I don't think I've seen the third one. I don't remember it. But the second one, I just remember being exactly like the first one. It's like the same plot, basically. What's his name's getting married in Thailand. I don't know. I just feel like this one's better because it's Vegas. I feel like a lot of people can really relate to Vegas more than Thailand. I don't know. It's just a really funny movie, and it's original, unlike the second one where you already, it's basically the same plot.
Yeah, that's fair.
Phil, I think it's happened again.
Oh, what the fuck did you do?
I didn't do anything, I swear to God.
You're right in saying that the second one doesn't really do anything special, and it really is just a copy of the first one. But something I do like about the third is that they at least tried to do something a little bit different. How the second one basically copies the same basic structure of the first one. The third one changes it up a little bit. It's not just the three guys going to find somebody who went missing. They change up the whole structure of it. They have to go after Mr. Chow. They also end up in Vegas again, so that's fun. I really actually do appreciate it because it does try to be a little bit darker too. That's something I've always liked about the movie. So yeah, I agree that the second one really is just a copy, but I kind of appreciate the third one at least a little bit for trying to be a little different.
Where is he? He's in fucking Vegas.
Shotgun.
Yeah, for me, I'll kind of bounce off that. The third movie, I think it has the worst reviews of the three.
It does.
I like it more than the second one just because it does do something different. The second movie, what's interesting is it does so many of the same concepts, but it focuses so much more on the raunchiness and the grossness that it kind of loses the charm of the first movie, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
The first movie, I feel like it's intelligently written, and the second movie just changes the location and makes things a lot more gross. Like, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
Did you know the first the first Hangover made the most money more than any other comedy, when it was released at that date?
Comedy ever? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that,
It
but
beat,
that's not that surprising
it
considering
beat
how.
Beverly Hills Cop when it was
Oh.
released. But I mean, I don't know what what it is now, but back when it was released in 2009, it was the #1 comedy.
Yeah, it was. I mean, The Hangover was very successful for sure. I've watched the first movie so many times, and yeah, again, you can definitely just watch the first movie, and it wraps up the storylines pretty well. You don't need more, but if you really want to see the characters again, the sequels are watchable. They're just not as good, not nearly as good.
Here's a good question though. I was doing some research before, just trying to see if there's any fun facts about it. They apparently looked into Jack Black and Jonah Hill. You think that would have made the movie funnier, worse? What do y'all think?
No way.
That for Zach Galifianakis' character?
Have them play who?
For Alan, yeah, but both of those for Alan, yeah.
I don't think it would have worked nearly as good as Zach Galifianakis. I think Zach Galifianakis is a certain amount of just strange. He's just weird. It really comes through on the screen. And I don't know if Jack Black or Jonah Hill could have really done that as well.
I like Jonah Hill. I think Jonah Hill could have been equally as funny. I think Alan killed the role, obviously, but I think I think Jonah Hill could have maybe been equally as funny because Jonah Hill plays that role pretty good.
He's a talented guy. He can do a lot.
He does.
Yeah, it would have had to been like fat Jonah Hill though, not skinny Jonah Hill nowadays.
True. But I also feel like with Jonah Hill, especially around that time, 2009, he had been in a lot of other stuff pretty around that time. So I feel like audiences knew what to expect from him. The fun of having Zach Galifianakis is that really no one knew who he was.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it was a surprise.
I think I consider myself a fan of both Jack Black and Jonah Hill, but I think Zach Galifianakis just brought a certain weirdness, and he's not his character could have easily been very obnoxious and loud to be funny, but he doesn't have to be. He just says super weird stuff constantly, and I don't know. I feel like Jack Black and Jonah Hill might have made the character a bit more loudmouthed or maybe take away a little bit from the weirdness that Zach Galifianakis brought, but I think they're all gifted actors, and it's always hard to imagine what if they casted someone else because in an iconic role.
And we're the three best friends that anybody could have. We're the three best friends that anyone could have. We're the three best friends that anyone can have. And we'll never, ever, 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 ever leave each other.
Like this?
True.
Apparently Alan also, or Zach Galifianakis apparently improvised a lot of what he said too.
I'm not surprised by that at all.
Yeah. In a lot of comedies you'll find that the veteran actors and even newcomers they'll just improvise a lot because you never know.
That's what makes Will Ferrell so funny because he improvises a lot of his a lot of his movies the whole time.
Yeah, I think I remember reading that a lot of Step Brothers is improvised.
Exactly.
I love
I think
that.
Talladega's that way too.
Yeah, a lot of it.
Nights. Probably Old School was like that too.
Yeah, I just saw Old School for the first time recently.
Really? That movie's funny.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. I had high hopes because it's a Todd Phillips comedy, and I love The Hangover.
Yeah.
But it was funny. It had plenty of funny stuff.
What was Todd Phillips first movie he wrote?
I think his first main one might have just been, I don't know what his first one, but I think his first major one was Old School.
Old School. Yeah. Old School was his 2003, and then The Hangover 2009.
And he's done a couple of stuff since then. But
now he's also the director of Joker, which is an award-winning.
Yep, he's Joker, which
that's crazy.
You wouldn't think Hangover and Joker were the same guy.
I know. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's a good movie. I saw that movie recently, last Christmas for the first time.
Yeah.
It was really good.
I really liked it.
I like the guy who played Joker is really good.
Joaquin Phoenix.
Phoenix. What's great about him is that he's crazy in the movie and he's crazy in real life. So it works out. It works well.
I feel like to play the role of Joker though, you have to have both.
He didn't have to try that hard. He's I'm that way already.
Who was the guy that played the Joker in the Dark Knight? Who was
Ledger?
amazing? Who died?
Heath Ledger.
He died, right?
Yeah, Heath Ledger. He's an amazing actor who worked at it.
Heath Ledger is still my favorite Joker.
Yes.
You think he would have? You think he would have killed the role as Joker in that movie? In the Joker movie?
I don't think No, I actually don't, because I think he wouldn't. Because the way Joaquin Phoenix played him so awkwardly and so uncomfortably, it wasn't polished acting, Heath Ledger, I mean, has some, yes, his acting is like better, but Joaquin Phoenix played the awkward kind of crazy role so good. That would have been it's so right for this movie. I just think
it's a
he
very
works better for
different
this
approach
movie.
to the character. It's like the origins of the character versus like character already existing.
That makes sense. It's like your highest rated movie.
It's one of my favorite films. Usually when I have to pick one favorite movie, I say The Dark Knight. It's the whole trilogy.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
yeah, I mean, I think the Joker, Todd Phillips, kind of showed that he can do. Not to say that comedy isn't an art form, but he can do movies beyond just raunchy comedies. And I'm excited to see what he does next. To be honest, he's more on the radar now.
One interesting fact about Todd Phillips that actually sort of relates here, I believe this is true. Mike Tyson, when he was originally asked to be in the movie, he originally said no. But then he found out Todd Phillips was also directed Old School, which happens to be one of Mike Tyson's favorite movies. So yeah, he signed on because he loved Old School. There's just a little interesting little fact about that.
Who the hell are you? Oh, who the hell are you? Quiet.
Mike Tyson?
This is my favorite part coming up right now. I can feel it coming in the air tonight.
Of course, my guy.
Before we wrap up today, I always like to ask this question. It's kind of a hard question because we're usually talking about someone's favorite movie or one of their favorite movies. But is there anything in the movie that you would change to improve it? Or do you think this is a perfect movie?
That's tough.
And either answer is valid. Obviously, you can...
I need to think. I don't know. I think it's a really good movie as is, It's hard to pick anything, to change that movie. It's just so funny the whole time.
I think it does it really well. Just laugh the whole way through.
I don't know. I like the end where they show some of the pictures of what they did. Because, the whole time you're thinking, what the hell did they do this whole time, know? Maybe show some more pictures. I don't know. Maybe that's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, I wouldn't change anything about the movie. I don't think. I think when you change something, it kind of takes away from the original piece you have.
One thing I would change, however, is that I would eliminate these sequels from existence. I don't think we need them. I think they're unnecessary, and I think the original movie works great as a standalone piece. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything about the original, but I would just get rid of the sequels entirely.
I say we delete it right now. Are you nuts? I want to find out how I wound up in the hospital. Is that in there?
Yeah, it's in there. Guys, one time. Deal?
Deal.
Deal.
Oh, dear Lord.
That's classic.
You don't even need sequels for it.
No, you don't. It was a cash grab. No. It was a absolutely shameless cash grab. The only reason they sequels is because there was no story left to tell. It was the money.
Yeah.
Because Hangover made so much damn money.
Everything was wrapped up in the first one.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, when a comedy is as successful as The Hangover was, they're gonna make a sequel. It's almost
just think of all the comedies of sequels are never even remotely as funny as.
Yeah.
Yet they still keep making them. Why don't we learn our lesson, Hollywood?
Anchorman 2. That movie was terrible compared to the first.
I like
okay. Anchorman 2.
Let's.
Okay.
I have to. That's something that I have to hardly disagree with. Hangover 2 isn't as good, but it might be. God damn! I've laughed harder at some scenes in Anchorman 2 than I've laughed harder at any other movie scene. There's some scenes in Anchorman 2 that I am rolling on the floor laughing. It's not as good as Anchorman. Oh no, but it might be.
Well,
It makes me laugh as hard, if not harder.
I watched the Anchorman movies back to back for the first time, so I didn't have any anticipation built up for the second one. I think that's a big factor too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I wouldn't want to change anything in the original movie, but I think there's a potential for a good sequel with these characters, and I think if there was a chance to redo the sequels, I would go back in time and take it.
I mean,
approach the second movie how they approach the third movie and change up the premise. Don't just do the same thing.
A little bit.
I think they could do a new spinoff right now, coming up. They could do one with the wives go to Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good.
That'd be a good turn, right?
You should check out the film Girls
the
Trip.
Wives don't really. I mean, that could be good, except the wives don't really have any reason to be hanging out. They don't have anything in common except who they're married to.
Well, that's what the screenwriters will whip something up.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have any questions for us, Taylor, or I can move on to the conclusion if not?
Yeah. How many movies do you watch a week, Yash?
Oh man, it ranges anywhere from, and keep in mind I watch a lot of TV series too, but just movies, it's anywhere from like 2 to 6.
2 to 6. Wow.
Yeah.
That's still a lot. Like
Oh.
that's honestly a lot for a week.
A slow week is when I watch like 1 or 2 movies in a week.
Wow, that's a lot. 2 to 6 a week. So maybe sometimes one a day.
Well, nowadays I've limited my movie watching to the weekends just to
really?
make sure I don't get like bored of watching movies, which can happen, believe it or not.
You get bored of watching movies?
If I watch one every day, eventually I'll need a break.
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, I need to do something else with my time.
I do. I get bored of watching movies.
Yeah, I limit how many movies I can watch so I can enjoy it more.
I understand. I agree. Less is more sometimes.
But yeah.
What do you usually write a review after every movie you watch, or?
Yeah, I do actually. But usually it's not right after. It's
He's got an Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, I usually give it.
You have a website too, don't you?
Yeah, I have the blog on my WordPress blog.
How's that going?
Good. I mean, I update it as I watch more movies. So nowadays during the time,
Yash Bansal Reviews.
I do tend to update it pretty frequently, like once a week.
How many reviews is it up to now?
North of 1,700. It's pretty high.
Damn, that's a lot. That's pretty good.
You have a collection.
Make some good money doing
You have
that.
a library, Yash. Like you could open a library and just have your reviews in it.
Name your top 5 movies. Yeah, according to Yash or your website.
Yeah, I'll pull up the list of 30 and I'll say 5 of them.
Okay.
Because it's tough.
So like you just have like a list of 30 of your top movies.
Yeah,
and they're they're not really in order.
They're not really in order, but I do have like 5 favorites. But how I actually do it is every time I watch 500 movies, I add 10 to the list. So
Do you take 10 off or no?
No, I just add 10, make it longer.
Oh, okay.
Because it was originally top 10, but over the years I've made it top 30.
It's hard to compare movie to movie,
Everything is. I mean, a lot of these movies have different goals entirely, but
Exactly.
Of course.
Dark Knight, the last Harry Potter movie.
I haven't seen the last Harry Potter movie. I don't know why.
You should definitely watch it.
I watched it for the first time over the summer. I watched it for the first time over this.
So I need to watch everything in order again, or to understand it.
Yes.
Or no?
Probably should. Yeah.
But is it a 2-part though?
It's the 8th movie. Like of the 7th movie is in 2 parts. So.
Okay. The 7th book is in 2 parts, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Movies.
So watch both of those.
Well, I would say watch all 8. Like just the whole series.
I would.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I definitely would. I would definitely watch all 8 over the course of like a week.
Really?
So it's all like fresh on your mind.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask the conclusion real quick, and then we can wrap up.
Oh, that was 2. That was only 2 movies.
Oh, what are the other 3? Yash?
Did I not say all of them? Oh,
everybody wants to know.
The Dark Knight, the last Harry Potter movie, Inception, 500 Days of Summer. I mean,
Inception's good.
The Shawshank Redemption, probably.
Yeah,
Shawshank, classic.
Shawshank.
It's IMDb's #1 movie.
Yeah,
IMDb's #1 movie.
Yeah, it's actually a well-deserved choice. Yeah, but there's a lot of movies I love. I mean, I could probably list like 100 if I wanted to.
One more question for me.
Go for it.
How'd you get into liking all these movies and everything? What made you want to start a blog, and what drives your interest in movies?
I mean, yeah, it's funny you asked that because it was around the time I saw Inception, and it was 2010, and my English teacher actually had an extra credit assignment to write movie reviews for extra credit.
That's cool. And
I wrote them, and I was like, that was kind of fun to write that, even though it's for an assignment. So around that time, I just saw a lot of films that really, I started to see them from a different lens. Inception was a big one because it just blew me away. It was.
That movie's good.
It's like a blockbuster, but it's very intellectual and forces you to think. And I don't know. I just around that time when I was 14, I knew I loved movies and kind of developed my interest over the years.
That's cool. Another movie like we were just talking about is Interstellar. I love Interstellar.
Yeah, another Christopher Nolan film. I just saw it again not too long ago. And I liked it a lot more the second time around.
Mm-hmm.
For
That's
sure.
crazy.
One interesting thing that I do want to bring up before we close out is about The Hangover. Yeah, it did win the Golden Globe Award for Best Comedy or Musical Film, which is kind of super rare for a movie like The Hangover that is like a raunchy comedy that like it's not a dramedy, it's not a musical, it's not like a rom-com. Those are the movies that usually win those, and the fact that this wasn't one of them, it was just a pure comedy, I think makes that super rare. And it really speaks to how well The Hangover does what it set out to do.
I think raunchy comedies are very heavily overlooked, actually, by award circuit.
Absolutely. Like, because they can be good. And Hangover was really just like showing that. Like, and
Would you
something
call
that a lot of
Hangover a
audience
raunchy
had known for
comedy?
years.
I don't know if I would call it a raunchy comedy because it really wasn't
Mhm.
that raunchy. Would you?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
I would.
I think, yes. I mean,
I guess our
just,
definitions of raunchy are different.
that's fair.
I mean, it's not
It's
like
subjective. It's subjective.
It's subjective,
Yeah.
I guess. The raunchiness.
Yeah.
There's definitely raunchier movies out there, but
For sure.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
You probably get this a lot. This isn't the real Caesar's Palace, is it?
What do you mean?
Did Caesar live here?
No.
I didn't think so.
But wrapping up our discussion on The Hangover, I wanted to ask both of you if, and Taylor, you're a sales guy, so this will be a fun question. But if you had to convince someone to watch this movie, what would you tell them? What's your sales pitch?
I would say if you're ever in a bad mood and you want something to cheer you up, watch this movie. This movie, instantly brings, laughter and, happiness. It's a funny movie. It would cheer up your day, the whole day, I feel like, if you watch this movie.
Yeah. What about you, Zach?
What I would say about The Hangover is that from the moment it starts, you will be laughing, and you will keep laughing until the moment it ends. It is consistently funny throughout. That may sound simple, and that may sound easy. It really isn't. There are a lot of movies that try that and fail because they don't have the consistent laughs throughout the movie. And I said this earlier, this movie doesn't have any lulls. It's really consistent with its laughs, and that's a surprisingly rare feat.
That is important.
Like it's also a comedy too, like where you watch and it's like, damn, that was actually a good movie. You don't like leave it feeling dumber,
Yes.
It's not like one of the. It's
Yes,
actually a good
exactly.
movie, It's a good movie.
That's, like, it is funny.
Even
and
my
good.
my girlfriend never seen it before, and I showed it to her, and she actually liked that movie because she's not into dumb comedy movies.
Yeah.
She's not really even a movie
Yeah.
person, but she thought it was really, really funny.
Yeah, I
It's
think
hilarious
The
and
Hangover-
good.
I would say that The Hangover is just, the overall premise is kind of silly, but it's told in a very smart way. The jokes are written
Exactly.
well. Movie moves at a good pace. It's just a lot of fun. And yeah, it's a movie I've seen at least 5 times. And
Yeah.
I
I've
can
probably
watch
seen
again.
it 20.
I'm
couldn't
too
even
busy
tell you.
watching new movies to rewatch old movies.
I know. When you're
I
watching
only
6
rewatch
movies a
them.
week, it's kind of tough to fill in some of the older ones, right?
Yeah, for sure. The Hangover is just it was a successful movie for a reason, and it's just so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Through a night we'll never remember. But the 4 of us will never forget.
And with that, we're wrapping up our discussion on The Hangover. I would like to thank Taylor for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a good time. This is my first podcast, and
Yeah,
this
for
is
sure.
fun.
And from all of us at Cinema Convos, thanks for listening, and we hope you tune in next time.